My name is Schnedler. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rilian Technologies.
And what brings you to OODAcon?
So I've been a longtime OODA fan and member. Very proudly, we're using OODAcon as our essentially coming out party here in the States. And so proud to be one of the sponsors here and always looking forward to these events and meeting with other colleagues in the industry.
Where you said here in the States, where are you based?
So Rilian is a US company. So we're headquartered here in Virginia, but I personally relocated my family back to the Gulf, so the GCC, to open up our international operations. We're starting in the Middle East and Central and Eastern Europe, and then expanding from there into North Africa and Southeast Asia.
Longtime OODA participant.
Yep.
What do you see as kind of being a benefit or the value of participating with OODA and coming to OODAcon?
And so OODA has that interesting combination of having like real world operators, government officials, current and former, as well as the entrepreneurs and innovators that are developing like the actual tech that matters. It cuts through a lot of the noise. You can really understand and have frank conversations about what are the risks and how can entrepreneurship and innovation be brought to bear to address some of those cutting edge problems.
So to talk a little bit about Rilian, what role do you see the company playing in addressing some of these, the critical global challenges that we're talking about here today? Cybersecurity, any of the emerging tech that has been kind of at the heart of the conversations today?
Yeah, so I mean, Rilian, first and foremost, is a go-to-market accelerator for venture-backed cyber companies, really to help and promote global security by partnering with US allies abroad. And so a lot of our focus right now is on taking some of the cutting-edge tech that the US enjoys and benefits from and helping sort of demystify how to expand into the emerging markets. Increasingly, though, what we're finding is that there's a lot of innovation happening within conflict zones themselves. Necessity breeds innovation. And so we're selectively now platforming some of those companies, then helping them reach the US domestic market as well.
So what challenges would you say you're helping your customers overcome in today's really rapidly evolving landscape?
Yeah, so twofold. On one hand, it's kind of cutting through the noise, especially within cybersecurity. There's thousands of venture-backed cyber companies, and it's very difficult for some of the buyers, whether they're national security organizations or CISOs at financial services firms, to really understand which of those companies are making a meaningful impact within their domestic market. And so we apply investor-style diligence to help really suss through that, identify which companies are likely to be viable long-term, which ones are making a sustainable impact, and then introducing those to the right buyers, again, especially within the emerging markets. The second area that we help is with adoption. And so in many of these markets, there's a lot of companies kind of positioning themselves as being all-encompassing solutions, but in reality, they're just point solutions. They do one thing very well. And so we help with the integration and platforming of those companies so that way they can actually achieve a certain outcome, as well as helping them overcome some regulatory friction to be able to operate within these different markets in a regulatory approved way.
How do you see Rilian contributing to a more secure and more innovative future?
Yeah, so I mean, Rilian's all about transparency. So we're not creating a black box where people don't understand how we actually contribute to security and safety. We are very transparent about the sorts of technologies and companies that are necessary to achieve a particular outcome. And we're architecting what we're developing in a way that everything is very modular and can be swapped out. So as innovation occurs, as there's new technologies, like you're seeing with AI, from the ground up, we've designed our platform and our mechanism for delivery to be able to continue to iterate and embrace those changes.
So what does that look like in practice? Do you create kind of like a rubric for how you help bring, these, I guess it sounds like startups maybe, how you bring them to kind of like a higher platform where they can reach their markets and whatnot?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So first and foremost, it's the vetting. As I said before, it's like, how do we actually identify who are the real players that are making an impact? From there, it's taking them and helping them from a go-to-market standpoint and a regulatory prove standpoint, how do you actually modify how you're operating, similar to how they have to think about approaching the US government with FedRAMP and IEL environment? It's like, what does that look like in Saudi Arabia? What does that look like in Azerbaijan? And so it's helping them understand the technical friction that they're going to experience to expand into those other markets. And then once we have sort of helped them transition their code base or whatever their application is into a secure container or into an environment where it can operate, it's then about how do you actually integrate those with other tooling, whether it's existing brownfield tooling that exists in those regions and in those markets, or if it's just integrating and kitting tooling from a collection of different companies that can then support a particular outcome. So it might be helpful for, as an example, like critical infrastructure protection is top of mind. Like, how do we make sure that we maintain power supplies? How do we make sure we maintain transportation networks, especially in conflict zones? And so if you think about how you address that problem, there's no one single solution that's going to achieve that result. But if you take a collection of different companies, most of them coming, again, from the US, UK, and Israel, and you find ways that you can kit them together, allow them to operate in a sovereign context, and then aggregate all the different data feeds and visibility that they provide into a central security operations center, you can now start to chip away at some of those pain points and issues and achieve the outcome that the customers need.
So you talked about you work with some companies where what they're doing is emerging from conflict zone, and the demand is right there. What are some of the trends that you see in terms of the needs and the solutions that are coming from conflict zones?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the big trends we're seeing is, especially in regions of conflict, but generally in the emerging markets, they're embracing AI in a way that I have not seen in many of kind of the domestic markets, especially in conflict zones. Some of the barriers to AI around data privacy or compartmentalization of data does not exist. Like, everyone wants to share, everyone wants to partner, and that really sets the stage for allowing advancements in artificial intelligence and LLMs, where you now can have gigantic data stores and data lakes, where you can apply AI engines atop, including being able to see adversarial action against you because you're in a conflict zone, and then take learnings from that to create defensive measures to protect your infrastructure.